Hi, I'm Otis, and this is Otis Originals. Hi, I'm Otis, and Hello?
Pop quiz, hotshot. You just got your new Roxant Pro Stabilizer, but your big DSLR camera weighs 3 pounds. More than Roxant's recommended 2.1 pound weight limit, and now you can't get it balanced. What do you do? What do you do?
That's easy. I watched this episode of Otis Originals.
This episode of Otis Originals is sponsored by Roxant. Cool gear for creative people.
Let me guess. You didn't bother to weigh your camera to see if it was under the 2.1 pound weight limit that Roxant publishes right in the title of the stabilizer on the Amazon order page, right? Or you saw the 2.1 pound weight limit, but you thought, that's just a random number. My heavy camera will be fine. Or maybe you honestly missed reading the 2.1 pound limit, or you received your stabilizer as a gift from someone who didn't know. Whatever the case, don't panic. You can still make this work. If you're watching this video, it's most likely because you've already tried balancing a heavy camera on your Roxant Pro and you were unsuccessful. You probably noticed that the camera wanted to tip over because you couldn't make the bottom of the stabilizer heavy enough with the included counterbalance weights. Well, that's because Roxant designed this stabilizer to be used with cameras that weigh really no more than 2.1 pounds. Now that includes the camera body and lens, with a battery and a memory card installed. Now, I'm not going to explain how to do a basic balance here. That's already covered in my 2-part series, How to Balance Any Camera in 5 Minutes. And I'll put up the links for those tutorials at the end of this video. But basically, you want the bottom of the stabilizer to be only slightly heavier than the top, where your camera is mounted. And you want to adjust for a 2-second drop time. Now again, all of this is covered in my 2 balance videos. So if you need to know what all that mumbo-jumbo means, please go watch those videos, and then come back here once you've finished. For these demonstrations, I'm going to use a Canon 7D with a short zoom lens, with the whole camera now weighing in about 3 pounds. So we need to add more weight to the bottom of the stabilizer to counterbalance this heavier camera that we're trying to use. But how do we do that? Roxant only includes these 3 weights. Where do I get more weight? Well, I'm going to show you a few different ways. Some of them will cost a few dollars, others will cost you next to nothing. Really all depends on how pretty and user-friendly you want your modification to look in the end. The first modification is adding some washers as weights. And I'm just talking about basic large 1.5-inch washers from your local hardware store. They cost just a few cents each, so you can get a lot of them for very little money. But the problem is that even these large washers don't weigh a lot. So it's going to take quite a few to add up to the additional weight that you're going to need. And you're not going to be able to add very many before you run out of room on the bolt that holds the regular counterweights. Now an easy fix to this is to buy a longer bolt. This included bolt is not a standard thread size, so you won't be able to find it at your local hardware store. But you can replace it with a number 1024 bolt, somewhere between 2.5 and 3 inches long. And also get a number 1024 wing nut to hold the washers and the weights in place. Just remove the original bolt with an Allen wrench and replace it with your new longer bolt. Then simply add the original counterweights back on, and then add as many washers as you need to balance your heavier camera. Now keep in mind that with your larger camera, you're going to need somewhere between a 1/4 pound to maybe a 1/2 pound of additional weight, depending on how heavy your camera is. Now that's going to be somewhere between 12 to 25 washers. And while that means you can make very fine weight adjustments by adding or removing just 1 or 2 at a time, that's still a lot of washers. The next mod may not be as easy for some people, depending on where you live. But if you have a metal supply shop or a machine shop nearby, you can usually pick through their leftover scraps of steel plate or aluminum block for next to nothing. And if you ask nicely, they may even give them to you for nothing. You're looking for small pieces between 1/4 and 1/8 of an inch thick for steel and 1/2 to 1 inch thick for aluminum, and around 2 inches across. Then all that's left to do is drill a hole in the center of each piece, so you can then stack them on the bottom bolt along with the regular counterweights. If you don't have a drill press or a strong enough drill to bore through the steel or aluminum, the machine shop can probably drill the holes for just a few dollars. Just make sure you take your stabilizer with you so they can determine how big of a hole they need to drill to fit the scrap pieces on the bottom bolt. This next option is going to cost you cold hard cash. Literally. I'm talking about rolled coins. A roll of pennies weighs just under 0.3 pounds, and a roll of quarters weighs in at 1/2 pound. You simply tape your coin roll to the bottom arm, just above the counterweights, and you're good to go. Now, does it look pretty or professional? No, of course not. But when you get your stabilizer balanced and people are looking at the beautiful footage you've shot, nobody cares how you got it. This last option is probably my favorite and the cleanest looking modification. Now, I'm a huge fan of using things for purposes other than what they were created for, and these items are perfect examples of that. They're thread adapters that allow you to go from 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch and back again. But the best part is that they're somewhat heavy and they can screw directly onto your Roxant Pro. So I thought they'd make perfect counterweights. The first is a steel disc. It's called a stainless steel bushing adapter. Now, it was designed to adapt a 1/4 inch male thread camera tripod mount to a 3/8 inch female thread. It has a large diameter with a knurled edge that makes it really easy to grip for screwing on or off. The second is actually 2 pieces that come in one package, and they're brass thread adapters. Now, one piece adapts from 3/8 to a 1/4 inch, and the other goes from a 1/4 inch to 3/8. But here's the genius part. You can screw the 2 1/4 inch ends together, and then screw those 2 pieces onto the 3/8 inch end of the stainless steel bushing adapter, and that makes one solid counterweight that then simply screws onto the bottom counterweight bolt. And you've got a good looking yet functional setup that adds almost 1/3 pound of extra weight for balance. That's enough to stabilize cameras around 3 pounds in total weight. And coincidentally, these pieces will also work on the top of the stabilizer to help balance very small and lightweight cameras. But that's a whole other episode. I'll add the links down below in the description for these 2 parts. And if you found any similar items that you've used as additional weights, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So, what did we learn from today's lesson? Well, number 1, always read descriptions and disclaimers like the 2.1 pound weight limit listed in the title of the Roxant Pro on the order page. Number 2, never assume you know how much something weighs, like your camera, without actually weighing it, or looking up the weight of your camera and lens online. Yes, I'm talking to you. And number 3, when all else fails, ask Otis. I may not always have the answer, but I'll do my best to get you out of a tight spot. Although you will have to listen to my bad jokes. Like these 2 guys walk into a... What? Come on. If you have any additional questions or an idea for a topic, please leave a message in the comment section down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Otis, and I'll see you next time for more Otis Originals. Excuse me just a moment. Hello?
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Yeah, we already covered that question. Remember? Yes, just now. Yes, you were very scary. And very convincing. Yes, that was a very good impression. Yes, I'm sure you'll get some acting jobs soon. No, my agent isn't accepting new clients right now. Fine, let's do lunch next week. Of course, my treat.